everybody, and welcome back to Steph's Stories and Crafts. This week's story is called The Ogre King. Now remember, the craft tutorial was aired on Monday, so if you haven't had a chance to watch that yet, you can go back to my channel and find it there. But for now, it's story time! Once upon a time, there was a king and queen who were very sad because they had a wonderful kingdom and anything else they could want, they still hadn't had a baby. And what was a king to do without an heir and a queen to do without a babe to care for? But then one day, the queen had a great idea, and she went over the mountain and through the woods to the witch's cottage. And when the witch saw the queen, she said, "My queen, what are you doing in my parts of the woods?" And the queen explained, "Oh, my dear friend, king and I still have yet to have a baby, and there's nothing I want more. And I was wondering if there was something you could do to help." And the witch welcomed the queen inside and said, "Of course, my dear. Here, drink this potion and kiss your king, and then you will have the baby of your dreams." The queen was so excited about this that she drank the potion immediately, not thinking about her long journey home. And the witch said to the queen, "My dear, you must rush back to the castle, for the potion only lasts for 2 moons and the first is already setting." Now the queen wouldn't normally have gone on such a long journey so late in the day, but she just couldn't risk the potion not working. So she made it through the woods with the last light of day, but as she began to climb and cross the mountain, she got a little lost and found herself outside an ogre's cave. The poor queen got scared and she tried to run away, but the ogre caught her and brought her back to his cave. Now the queen began to cry because she was so scared. But then she had a bright idea. She said to the ogre, "Surely a measly little queen like I could not be enough to feed a great powerful ogre like you." And the ogre grunted, but continued toward her. She said, "Well, surely you would prefer to dine on fat dukes and their equally plump duchesses, wouldn't you?" And the ogre began to smile at the thought and licked his lips, but still he advanced on the queen. She said, "Well, if you eat me, you won't get a chance to eat those fatty dukes and duchesses. I'm sure you'd try, and you'd probably put up a good fight. I mean, you'd go off through the villages, maybe eat a few peasants on the way, but as soon as you got to the castle, well, they'd bring up the drawbridge and all of our knights would shoot flaming arrows at you, and you wouldn't stand a chance." Now, the ogre was a bit irritated with this, for he was sure he could fight off 1,000 men, no problem. But then the queen said, "If you let me go, I can devise a system that brings you a fatty duke or duchess every day for the rest of your life. You'll never have to worry about where your next meal's coming from. You'd never even have to leave your wonderful cave again." Now this sounded great. To the ogre, and he rushed the queen off on her way. But then, as soon as the queen got enough distance between her and the ogre, she started to run. And the ogre got mad, realizing he'd been tricked, so he chased off after her. Luckily, the queen got away from him, but as she ran, she dropped her crown, and the ogre picked it up, and he took it to the witch's cottage. And he pounded on the door and forced his way into the witch's cottage. And he told her, "That mean old queen tricked me. I want to be a king, so you're gonna take her crown and put magical powers on it so I can be the king, or else I'm gonna eat you." So feeling she had no other choice, the witch put a spell on the crown, and as long as it was on the ogre's head, he would be viewed as king. And as soon as the ogre put on the crown, a mystical fog rolled over the land. And the king, having been familiar with magic before, knew something magical had happened when his own knights turned against him and threw him out of the castle. So he grabbed his trusty steed and rode over the mountains and through the woods to the witch's cottage. And the witch explained to him what had happened and how sorry she felt, but she didn't think she had another choice. And the king said, "That's quite all right. Now I know what the problem is. I can go back to the castle and fix it." And so the queen gave the king's steed magical running powers so he could get back to the castle even faster than he had arrived at her cottage. And the king went back through the woods and over the mountain to the castle. But he knew he couldn't walk right back into the castle, so he took a secret tunnel that the servants used to get in and climbed up a back tower, grabbing a bow and arrow on his way. And then he entered the royal throne room from a balcony looking down on the thrones. And he saw a very miserable looking queen seated on her throne next to the ogre. And the ogre was trying to kiss her. So the king acted fast and shot his bow and arrow and killed the ogre. But then the spell didn't break and his knights advanced on him for killing the king. But the queen acted quickly and took the crown from the ogre's head, officially breaking the spell, and all the knights bowed to their rightful king. Very happy king and queen embraced after 2 long days. And just as the second moon was about to rise, they kissed. And a few months later, they were blessed with twins, a boy and a girl. And they all lived happily ever after. The end. Alrighty everybody, I hope you enjoyed today's story, The Ogre King. And remember, as always, share, like, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And I can't wait to see the stories that your kiddos come up with their new dolls. Bye!